gentlemen, it is February 2nd, 2019. My name is Jim Amata. I'm being joined by Pittsburgh legendary athlete, Mr. Paul Atlas, and our special Ryse correspondent, Miss Lola Bradbury. Tonight is the night. It is the first round of our Ryse Tag Team Tournament.
Introducing first the team of Grindhouse Noir.
All right, wait a minute. No, we've heard alone.
Individually from
Listen,
Salem, Massachusetts, the Black Rose, Meghan Meyers, and her partner from the French Quarter, Louisiana, the Bayou Scarecrow, Christian Noir.
And I'm sorry, Paul, I know we're supposed to be professional out here, but this Grindhouse, we saw it last month. They've been terrorizing everyone inside and outside of Ryse. Whoa, I'm sorry that you're upset now.
I'll tell you what, Jim, they can handle business in the ring, but they're going to leave this young lady alone tonight as long as I'm sitting out here.
Well, I apologize.
It's nothing new. They've been doing this for months now.
And their opponents, hailing from where the wild things are, they are Honey Badger and the Bearcat, Chic, Haught, the team of Honey Bear.
And finally, some encouraging words from the Honey Badger. And everyone in Ryse has put a target on the Grindhouse.
Honey Bear has made a promise to end this tonight on my behalf. I cannot be more anxious to see Grindhouse finally be put to an end.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to try to reset here. Again, I apologize. I try to maintain as much composure as I can. But after the Grindhouse, after they ruined our Ryse Grand Championship matchup last month, and they're not going to terrorize one of our colleagues out here, we're just not going to let that happen. But it is February 2nd of 2019. My name is Jim Amata, of course, joined by Paul Atlas and the wonderful Lola Bradbury.
Thank you.
And we have the first round action in the Ryse Tag Team Tournament. The first round matchup here, Honey Bear against the Grindhouse combination of one Meghan Meyers, Christian Noir. And I don't want to get things started on a down note, but Lola, we want to give you this platform to tell our audience that your social media was hacked within the past 24 hours by Christian Noir. Has everything been restored?
Not completely. This is the second time that Grindhouse have made it a point to ruin my social media. This all started back when I interviewed Super Hentai, putting Grindhouse's eye on me. I don't have anything to do with them, and I certainly did not ask to be put on notice by them. But last night for an hour, again, I was locked out of my Twitter. I got screenshots from my friends and family saying that Christian Noir was posting cryptic messages and a video on my Twitter.
And there you see it. Well, I know I'm not getting too personal when I tell the audience that you and Honey Badger are very close friends, which is why Honey Badger is trying to tear Meghan Meyers to bits. This has gotten very personal as the Grindhouse has tried to terrorize everybody inside and around Ryse. This thing has spilled out. Oh man, what a slap by Meyers! But I don't think she wants to exchange shots with Honey Badger.
Honey Badger has so much power, and we're going to see that here against Meghan Meyers.
Badger caught her and drives Meyers down to the canvas, floats over, cover here. 2.5. Paul, if you can, speak to Honey Bear. Obviously, they're very emotional, as we all are around Grindhouse. How does the psychological aspect of the Grindhouse being involved, how does that play into Honey Bear? How can they avoid getting over-aggressive, making any mistakes?
Well, see, this becomes the problem. This is Grindhouse's MO. And no matter whether it be a tag match with these two in here now, whether it be Shirley Doe, whether it be Beastman, they want to get into the heads of their opponents, you know? And I don't want to downplay some of these pre-match antics, but I got to say, this is a night that really excites me because tag team wrestling is what made me famous, and we're going to see some stellar tag team matches tonight. I just hope Honey Bear can keep their mind on the prize right now and not make this too personal.
And speaking of tag team strategy, Paul, you can speak to this. Badger cuts Noir off, cutting the ring in half, keeping Christian Noir in the Honey Bear side of the ring here, and making a frequent tag to Keith Haught. How that disorients your opponent. They don't know where their opposition is coming from next.
Right, and if you notice, she made sure she put herself between Christian Noir and Meg Meyers. That's how you keep your opponent out of their half of the ring. That's how you keep control of the match.
After I gained
Keith Haught rallying here. Man, diving clothesline. Hooks the leg. Nice transition from Keith Haught.
After I gained control of my social media last night, I knew they have been following me and watching me every single move I do. And I asked Christian Noir, what do you want from me? Why am I a part of this? And he said, we want everything. You are ours now.
Like I said before, as long as you're sitting out here, you don't got to worry about this clown.
Keith Haught takes down Meyers.
Little Bronco riding there, huh?
I think Meyers is enjoying that a little too much.
Yeah, she's a scary one, that's for damn sure.
But Honey Bear is a really unique case in this tag tournament. Because they have been, oh man, and there you see Noir, a blatant disregard for the rules. Haught gets spiked.
Let's not forget, as bizarre as these two individuals are, Christian Noir is an accomplished wrestler. He's a very, very top-notch competitor when it comes to wrestling itself. So don't let the smoke screen of this scary crap fool you. He knows what he's doing in there.
As Meyers blatantly choking. And Paul, you bring up a good point. The last time we saw Noir, he left his building in a casket. You think that guy was twisted before? You can imagine his psyche now.
Oh, I'm sure, but let's not forget, before he went into that casket, he took Matt Conard, the Ryse Grand Champion, to the absolute limit.
And this is those roughneck tactics you can expect from the Grindhouse.
You're not going to see a lot of tie-ups and wrist lock exchanges out of Meg Meyers, that's for sure.
One thing with Keith Haught, going into 2019, he does have a loss to Shirley Doe last month. So I think if he can get past the psyche of losing to the mastermind of Shirley Doe, they can really get this together tonight.
Well, you bring up a good point. He's really got to block that out. Shirley Doe is the master at mind games. He's taught these two mind games. He's taught Beastman mind games. He's the only man who can control the Beastman. And now they got this clown Derek Direction running around with him. Yeah, I mean, it could be limitless what can happen around here with these guys.
Wait a minute, Noir exposing the knee if you see it here. And again, that's psychological warfare. That moniker, Fear is Noir, he certainly lives up to it.
Blatant disrespect to Keith Haught with the birds, the double birds.
But again, there comes the mind games. You notice they got
5 minutes gone, 5 minutes.
They got Honey Badger distracted. They got her coming into the ring, and then they make that switch.
And you can see the bizarre conference, a bizarre meeting of the minds between Meyers and Noir before she tries to put the shoulders of Keith Haught down. Of course, Keith Haught, one of the most unique athletes we have on the Ryse roster. He has an it factor. Keith Haught is a commodity, but when you're in there with two soulless individuals like Meyers and Noir, it's a completely different equation.
Here at Ryse Wrestling, we're so used to seeing Meghan Meyers on the outside causing a distraction, but in the ring, she's even more crazy.
Now, Lola, let me ask you. I mean, I know that things started out on a down note, but you interview all of our stars here. What is the buzz going around backstage or on this tag title tournament? Who is your pick? Who do you think really has an edge with everything that you've learned ahead of this tournament? Who do you think is coming in as the odds-on favorite?
Well, numbers play a huge part in this tag team tournament, with System Elite being the longest formed Ryse tag team in Ryse, forming in 2011, but also numbers play to the main event being absolutely undefeated for 2 years since the beginning of Ryse Wrestling. If I had to pick to go all the way, it would be System Elite, because they have been Ryse tag team staples while the main event have been going on vacation.
Absolutely, and that's why this jam-packed crowd, I mean, we're literally running out of seats here, Paul. Everyone is anticipating the opening stage of this Ryse tag team tournament. But right now, Keith Haught is getting asphyxiated inside the squared circle.
Let's face it, right here, Ryse Wrestling is the place to be for tag team wrestling right now in 2019. We're going to crown tag team champions over the next few months here. So if you want anything to do with tag team wrestling, you need to get yourself down to the Stronghold, because this is where the best tag teams have come to play.
And notice how Noir always, wait a minute, cover here, lateral press, hooks the inside leg, finds two. Noir always has those mind games at the forefront of his offense. He injures Keith Haught and insults Honeybad, but he got elevated that time. Can Keith Haught make a tag here? Because he's
a long way away.
And he makes it to the Badger. The ferocious female is in the ring. Badger will tear her opponents to bits.
Like I said earlier, I did not ask to be a part of this, but it kind of, I don't know if history repeats itself, but with Shirley Doe treating Super Hentai the way he has and then getting their eye on me with Super Hentai being my mentor, I think maybe, I hate to look into the mind of Grindhouse, but I think that is their mindset with harassing me and using me clearly to taunt Honey Bear in the ring.
Beautiful double senton. But wait a minute, Meyers immediately latches on to Keith Haught. And here comes the Badger. Some tandem offense from Honey Bear. Meyers could be out of it here. And Paul, we saw this last month. We called it. Keith Haught could be going for that patented splash from the top.
He hits this. This thing is over right now.
Meyers might be a spot on the canvas and a mist in the eye. Keith Haught blinded.
That mystical mist, if you will. Big spear, though, by Honey Badger.
The Badger takes Noir off the apron. They tumble to the concrete. Meyers is in the ring with a blinded Keith Haught. She has the trunks.
In a time of 9 minutes, 9 seconds, your winners, advancing to the semi-final round, Grindhouse Noir!
This makes me very, very nervous.
I'll tell you what, they got the win here, but do they really care about winning the tag team tournament, or they just want to ruin things the way they have been? Time is going to tell what exactly the plan of Grindhouse is.
We are mere minutes into this event here, February 2nd of 2019, and already the fingerprints of the demented Grindhouse is on this event. And if this is how this match this evening starts, I don't want to even think about what could happen at the end of it. And these two, yeah, you better take a walk. Yeah, all right, yeah, I know. We'll find you later, and you cute.
You need to back yourself up, buddy.
This is ridiculous.
I gotta go. I gotta figure this out.
The wall was petrified. Honey Bear's hurt, obviously.
Somebody needs to notify security that she's gone to the back.
Introducing first, representing the main event from St. Louis, Missouri, weighing 200 pounds, he is the Iceman, Tony Johnson.
Our first round action of the Ryse Tag Team Tournament continues here. Our second opening matchup, as the Iceman, Tony Johnson, will have his opportunity to pick his opposition, as Johnson and a partner of his choosing will take on System Elite.
You got to wonder what's going through the mind of Tony Johnson to come out here. Does he know the individual? Is he a friend? Is he an old foe? How exactly is this going to play out?
Let's see what the Iceman has to say. Who is his pick for this tournament?
Ladies, it's nice to see you. When I first heard about this tag tournament, I was upset because I didn't have anyone to tag with. Duke and Ganon are doing their thing, and Londyn is doing her thing tonight against Jinx. But then, opportunity knocked. There was an opening for the main event to go to the finals. Duke and Ganon in one bracket, me and my mystery opponent in the other bracket. Partner, it's a mystery. Just enjoy the mystery, okay?
It's like a Scooby-Doo episode out here, Paul.
You guys mind if I chew my gum real quick?
Those meddling kids.
Now you sound like a true 30-year vet.
Thanks for that.
It's not juicy fruit. I was at Uprise, and I saw a young man that looked like, with the right guidance, he would be a great addition to the main event. Man, this is really good. So, tonight, we may see someone enter the main event, but it's on him to prove himself. So ladies and gentlemen, get ready for my partner.
Well, this is a surprise, Paul.
The successful Saint Jordan Styles.
Mystery partner. He is the successful Saint Jordan Styles.
Jim, we saw this young man 2 weeks ago at Uprise, and it was a very impressive performance. And now, apparently, he has a chance to prove he belongs in the main event.
The Emmy award-winning athlete, yes, he legitimately won an Emmy. And as you said, Paul, this man had a barn burner matchup against Bray McKenzie at Uprise, which you can watch exclusively on the Indie Wrestling Network. Jordan Styles has turned a lot of heads in a rather short period of time, but what an opportunity for Styles here, entered into the Ryse Tag Tournament.
This is his chance to prove that he is a top caliber athlete, because let's face it, Tony Johnson is just that. The main event is just that. We're going to find out tonight if Jordan Styles can step up to the plate.
And their opponents, at a total combined weight of 435 pounds, from the south side of Pittsburgh, the new ugly Edric Everhart, and from Woolton, Virginia, the cartoon contender, Tyler Cross. And together, they were the team of System Elite.
System Elite, the longest tenured tag team in Ryse Wrestling, and one of the odds-on favorites to win this tournament.
System Elite, the standard of tag team wrestling in the tri-state area. As you said, Paul, some people are hedging their bets on System Elite. We may be looking at the very first ever Ryse Tag Team Champions.
And Tony Johnson's taking a hike here, it seems.
Hey, pal, you got a matchup in the ring. Referee Josh Main trying to let Johnson know this matchup isn't going to start until someone enters the ring. And Paul, I'm going to ask you here, because right out of the chute, we have Jordan Styles being added to this equation. None of us knew who Johnson was going to select as a partner. Obviously, System Elite didn't know. How does a tag team, when you don't know who your opponents are going to be, how do you adapt to that?
Well, it makes it tough, obviously, but you know, like I said before, System Elite, Ty Cross and Edric Everhart, they are the longest tenured tag team in Ryse Wrestling. This is not their first rodeo. They know how to take on all contenders. They know how to take on all comers. I think they'll be just fine with this little curveball Tony Johnson thought he was going to throw in here.
You may be correct, because System Elite, they really are the definition of tag team continuity. Of course, my name's Joe Mata. He's Paul Atlas. Unfortunately, Lola is a little shaken up after that run-in with the Grindhouse. She had to step away, but Red Watson, our part-time ring announcer, part-time correspondent, and part-time whatever else he does. Red, you're here.
Great to be here, guys.
As we have Johnson and Ty Cross ready to hook it up here.
These guys are no stranger to each other. They've been down the road before, so this is not the first time that they've come up against each other. So the System Elite knows Tony Johnson. Jordan Styles, however, is going to be the wild card in this match, simply because not much is known about him by anyone in this match.
I have to say, Paul, just on the surface, Jordan Styles, with his Emmy award-winning accomplishments and how much he likes to brag about it, he certainly would fit into the main event, because they are very braggadocious as a group. However, they can back it up, and Jordan Styles has a chance to back up his claims in this matchup here.
Well, this is where he will prove whether or not he's all show or he's got something to back it up.
System Elite obviously very eager to get this matchup started. And I really believe, we saw an up and down year for System Elite in 2018. They won some, they lost some, they had some adversity. However, they can erase all of that. They can put themselves on a new platform. They can really cement their legacy in tag team wrestling if they go down in the history books of Pittsburgh wrestling as the first Ryse tag champions.
And that is, without a doubt, their goal right now, is to prove that 2018 was just that, a fluky year for them. And that in 2019, they can rise to the top, no pun intended, once again, by becoming the first ever Ryse tag team champions. But they're going to have to go through some serious competition to get there.
Absolutely, and to your point, to underscore that, Johnson, a true pro, as soon as his shoulders hit the canvas, he kicked out at 1.
Tony Johnson knows where he's at in that ring at all times. I've been in the ring with Tony Johnson, and I've been in the ring with System Elite. And let me tell you what, none of these guys are slouches. They all know their stuff.
We talked about how Tony Johnson really has found himself inside of Ryse Wrestling. He's really taken his game to an entirely different level here in Ryse Wrestling. If Tony Johnson puts himself in the tag championship conversation, he really solidifies that status. But as I said, System Elite tag team continuity personified, as we're seeing the tandem offense as only System Elite brings to the table.
And as you said, not just finding his way in Ryse Wrestling, but since Tony Johnson has joined the main event, that mean streak, that arrogance, it's gotten more and more prominent. The main event, Duke Davis and Ganon Jones Jr. have brought out the aggression and the arrogance in Tony Johnson to a point.
It's over. 2.5. Continue, Paul.
Very close. Yes, it was. But as I was saying, they've brought that out to a much different level, and thus that has made Tony Johnson a huge, huge competitor in the singles ranks. Now he's trying to find his way in the tag team ranks.
Snap measures Johnson over, does Edric Everhart. Measuring Johnson. And this Lamont Furnace crowd has really adopted System Elite. And I think Everhart's trying to give Johnson a bad hair day.
I'm saying, I tell you what, somebody want to offer him some conditioner.
Tagging to Jordan Styles. And Red, I'm going to ask for your opinion here. You're a rookie in the wrestling business, much like Jordan Styles. How does a rookie rise to the occasion? Again, no pun intended. How does a rookie not succeed any butterflies on this stage, quite literally under the bright lights here in the Stronghold?
Well, I think the big thing for Jordan Styles is he has some in-ring experience on Uprise shows. I think the big thing for him is going to be how he adapts to competing in a tag team environment and how well he's able to sync up with Tony Johnson in this match. I think that's going to go a long way toward determining how far he and Johnson can go in this tournament.
Nice escape from Styles, rolled through, slapped on a side headlock to really control his opponent. And Paul, you can speak to how elementary but how important that aspect is.
That is. It's very fundamental, but it also brings a lot. When you squeeze down on those temples, you cut that blood flow off. You make that opponent a little bit weaker. But I want to bring up an important point here. Not only does Jordan Styles maybe have to prove himself in this tag team tournament as can he be part of the main event, even though Tony Johnson is in the main event, the tag team of the main event is Ganon Jones Jr. and Duke Davis. So now it is up to Tony Johnson. Can he put himself on the same level as the undefeated main event tag team?
Now, wait a minute. I believe we're seeing some dissension between Johnson and Styles. Styles gave props to Tyler Cross for a evenly matched exchange, and Johnson wasn't too happy about it. So certainly some dissension but in the ranks between new tag partners. That can happen in these situations.
It can, and I think what it is Tony Johnson's trying to tell Jordan Styles, look, we're not here to shake hands and kiss babies. We're here to win a match.
Jordan missed the contact, but Tyler didn't. However, that allowed Johnson to exploit the advantage, hit Cross right in the face with an uppercut. Edric is very upset, but he's not doing his tag partner any favors because Cross is getting mugged at ringside.
And people may think, oh, that's a wrestling ring. It's like a trampoline. There's a steel bar behind that ring apron there, so that does not feel good when your back is driven into it the way Ty Cross's just was.
And you notice how Johnson measured Ty Cross for that elbow. Hit him right between the eyes.
Everything Tony Johnson does is very, very deliberate. It may seem sometimes like he's flying by the seat of his pants, but he knows what he's doing in that ring at all times.
And I believe that fluidity that Johnson brings to the table, the way he's able to transition from maneuver to maneuver, may be his biggest asset. Styles asking for a tag, and Johnson does not look very receptive. And that may cost him here. You know, this dissension, when you're there with System Elite, a top-tier tag team, if you're not on the same page, you're going to be looking up at the lights.
And this is where that could be. I mean, Tony Johnson has been primarily a singles wrestler. In tag team wrestling, it's just that. You've got to be a team. You've got to work together. That's why Ganon and Duke are where they are today.
Shoulders down. You're correct, Paul. And it's a very interesting dichotomy because, you know, when you think about it on the surface, you may say that the main event is the odds-on favorite here. They're undefeated, so that by proxy that makes them the favorite. However, it could be destiny for System Elite. They were born and bred for tag team wrestling.
That's true.
And that's why this tournament has so many interesting dynamics. You have Golden Chic really looking to make a statement in their own right.
I mean, you have teams that have been down the road together, and you have teams who are getting together for the first time. You have teams like this team that seems like they just drew a name out of a hat and said, here you go. But it's all because everybody is after the same thing, and that is the Ryse Tag Team Champions. Again, if you want to be anywhere in tag team wrestling in Western Pennsylvania, you want to be right here in Ryse Wrestling.
Jordan put on the brakes, and man, did he wrench the knee. That's an innovative maneuver, and he may have injured Ty Cross there.
Let's not forget, part of System Elite's problems last year were knee injuries suffered by both men.
At the hands of the main event.
Exactly.
So you know it's no accident that Jordan Styles targeting the knee in that exchange.
I'm sure Tony Johnson passed that information on to him.
That's a good point. You know, we don't know when Johnson offered this spot to Jordan Styles. Maybe they did have some time to strategize. It certainly looks like it because Johnson is immediately targeting that knee.
I said on the surface it may look like he drew a name out of a hat, but like I said before, Tony Johnson's a very deliberate competitor. He may have had this planned for weeks.
Johnson is very meticulous with everything that he does, and that's why he's taking his time measuring Ty Cross and looks to again exploit the knee. And Paul, you're a man with artificial knees because of your time in professional wrestling. Can you speak to how vulnerable those knees can be with the ACL, the MCL, the patella tendon, all that?
They're one of the most vulnerable parts of the body, and part of the reason I have that problem is Tony Johnson. My original knee injury took place at the hands of Tony Johnson. He tore my meniscus in the middle of a match. That was the downfall. That was the start of all my problems, and that's why I sit here today, because of a man like Tony Johnson.
And that may be what he's trying to do to Ty Cross here. And let's not make any mistake about it. As Johnson aggressively just hammering shots down on Ty Cross, let's not make any mistake about this here. If you sustain an injury in this tournament format, your run could be over very, very quickly.
That's very true. I mean, this may not be a one-night tournament, but you only have a matter of a few weeks before we move on to the next round. You damaged knee ligaments. It takes more than a few weeks for those knee ligaments to heal up.
Absolutely. We're back here March 2nd, our next Ryse event. So certainly everyone in this tournament tonight has to be weary about that.
And you know, that's a point to the matter, too. Just because Jordan Styles and Tony Johnson are in this tournament, they are part of the main event. This could be a main event plan. Johnson may have no intention of winning the championships, although I don't know why he would. But, you know, he may be softening up who can be honestly the best competition for the main event in this tournament is System Elite.
Textbook spine buster from Styles, floats over. And Ty Cross getting the shoulder up, but it may be a matter of time because Ty Cross has sustained a substantial amount of punishment for several minutes. And I believe we're seeing some dissension in the ranks here. Red, I'm going to ask you, you were backstage before this event started. Was there any discussion? Did you see Styles and Johnson talking to one another? What was the story with Tony Johnson and Jordan Styles?
Well, Tony Johnson was very, very mysterious about who he had chosen, and he kept it very tightly under wraps. So if he's had this planned, he's certainly done a good job hiding it from everybody, including me and you.
And again, we're seeing Johnson trying to direct traffic here. It just feels to me like Styles and Johnson are not on the same page. Jordan avoids the contact. Tag is made. And Edric Everhart is going to clean house here.
He is without a doubt the proverbial house of fire right now.
This is Edric's wheelhouse. Beautiful release German drops Johnson right on the back of his neck. And a Blue Thunder bomb for Styles. No, Jordan.
That was close.
Jordan got his left shoulder up just barely. You got to give Styles credit. He is not going to relinquish this opportunity easily.
No, we've seen Jordan Styles. We've seen a limited sample size of him, but what we have seen so far, he is without a doubt a big-time competitor already. So let's see what he... Oh.
And there's Styles showing wisdom beyond his years, able to capitalize on a slight miscue from Everhart, who again is forced to get his shoulders up.
He turned that into a very innovative move. You wonder if he planned that or if he just pulled that out of his hat.
Well, being able to adapt inside that squared circle obviously is something that's going to have to take place in this tag tournament.
Tony Johnson apparently interjecting himself on a tag again.
Styles is upset. Johnson is arguing, and this doesn't bode well for this makeshift tag team. Meeting of the minds here. And System Elite may be able to take this one to the bank. Stiff right hand, diving ace crusher, beautifully done, hooks the leg, and he got it.
And System Elite is moving on.
In a time of 13 minutes, 13 seconds, your winners, advancing to the tournament semifinal round, the team of System Elite.
The tag team continuity of System Elite raises the Duke over Tony Johnson and Jordan Styles. The longest tenured tag team in Ryse Wrestling is moving on in this tournament.
Gentlemen, we talked about it earlier. We may be seeing System Elite get one step closer to cementing themselves as the tag team of Ryse Wrestling.
You may not do the main event, but while this happens, I can understand why you might be the weak link of this.
And wait a minute here, Johnson just blindsided Styles. Talk about a case of sour grapes.
Apparently he did not like the comments that Jordan Styles just made to him about his position in the main event.
And now Johnson assaulting Styles.
And here comes, wait a minute, here comes Brandon Kay.
Let's not forget, Brandon Kay is the trainer of Jordan Styles. Styles is a product of the Stronghold Academy. Johnson completely blindsiding and assaulting Styles.
And I think we're seeing a challenge here from Tony Johnson to our owner, Brandon Kay. Tony Johnson might be wary of what he wishes for.
Tony Johnson may be regretting his beef with Brandon Kay because, as we know, Brandon Kay wants to make 2019 one of his most historic years. Could we be seeing Brandon Kay and Johnson at some point in the future here?
I'm sure Brandon Kay would love to make an example out of Tony Johnson as Kay goes on his victory tour for 2019.
Approaching the ring, representing the main event, out of Harlem, New
Talking
York.
to me, young lady.
She is the exalted one, Londyn Ali.
I don't know what Miss Ali's grudge is with me, but she better pay attention to what's going to go on here in a few minutes.
The Witty Lion is one of the most talented athletes here at Ryse. But this environment will be very dangerous and one that the very braggadocious Miss Ali better have her guard up for. This could be an environment tailor-made for the bloody adorable one.
That is true. These women had the rubber match a few months ago here at Ryse Wrestling, and apparently that was not enough as we're meeting here tonight in a hardcore women's match.
And soon to be approaching the ring, from Fall River, Massachusetts, she is the bloody, adorable Jinx.
I don't have to tell you anything.
She is one of the most unique commodities in independent wrestling, and she's ready to fight. The punk rock princess wants to punch Londyn Ali right in the face.
And here they go.
You know, Paul, we've seen this rivalry spill over tag matches, single matches, a matchup at our anniversary show that saw Jinx victorious, but Ali decided to blindside Jinx with a kendo stick. It took, these two young ladies are about 120 pounds apiece, and it took our entire security staff to separate them last December.
Without a doubt, a ton of bad blood between these two young ladies.
These are two diametrically opposed women in every aspect. As Ali, I believe, trying to stick a thumb all the way in the eye at Jinx.
Now Londyn here searching, walking around the ring. I don't know what she's looking for.
And this matchup is no rules, but the personal animosity that has developed between these two, it has to be settled, and it's come to something like this as Londyn Ali has a chair.
Well, right now, anything's legal. This is a hardcore match, so we're going to fight right now.
Ali eats the chair, and that's a good way to break a nose. And I feel bad for Sorg because he's within striking distance of both of these very dangerous athletes.
I'll tell you what, these camera people down at ringside, they might want to watch themselves or they may catch a stray ball here.
And if they come up here, don't tell me to run. You're going to be talking to yourself. I'm getting out of here.
We know that about you.
And Jinx, a wise wrestler in her own right, knows that she can only win the matchup in the ring, so she has to get Londyn Ali back inside the squared circle to obtain a fall here.
She seems to be searching for something herself around here, the ringside area, and there's that kendo stick.
And it could be turnabout as fair play, because as I said in the opening moments of this matchup, it was that very same kendo stick that Ali jumped Jinx with following a matchup. And again, it took our entire security staff to separate these two. But Jinx is trying to back, Ali trying to back off here.
That's okay. I know when I'm the ladies, you're a little flustered there, Jim. Especially ones that are violent and can take you on.
Look out. Oh, man, Ali ran right into a gut shot and takes one between the shoulder blades. You can hear that smack. Look out, Russian leg sweep. Drops the cane across the throat, hooks the leg here. 2.5, and again, I'm going to go to our backstage correspondent, Red. Red, things have been so volatile between these two that they're even separated backstage here.
Yeah, as you mentioned, it took the entire security staff to separate these two women, and they've got separate dressing rooms, separate facilities to keep them separated from killing each other prior to the matchup tonight. So this match definitely going to be a bloodthirsty brawl.
Is there any truth to the rumor that they had Ali dressing at the Burger King down the street?
That I could not confirm for you, Paul.
I was hoping she brought me a burger.
Jinx shoots off. Up and over here. Wait a minute, Jinx momentarily got caught and Ali made her pay.
She lost her balance trying to jump up onto that middle rope, and Londyn Ali took full advantage of it.
And that's how you know that you're dealing with two young athletes that are just entering the prime of their career, because all it takes is one slip and they can exploit it. Beautiful bridge from Ali. What an athlete. But again, Jinx kicks out. You know, Jinx is not the biggest competitor in the world, but she brings a fight and a tenacity that very few match.
Yes, she does. And that fisherman suplex was executed perfectly, but Jinx still...
Oh man, God. Right on the back of the neck. That'll send shockwaves up your spine.
I thought for a moment there that Jinx was completely out.
And again, targeting that neck. And now that lumbar region, the most susceptible spot to damage in the back. Big mid-ring collision. Ali just ran through Jinx with that one. And again, going back, I believe trying to rake the face, rake the eyes.
I think she's trying to tear her ear off, it looks like.
And you can hear the screams of pain from Jinx. We knew this matchup would be very violent. And Ali took a second to showboat, and she's going to pay for it.
Yeah, you cannot take your eye off the ball in a match like this.
That may be the one flaw in Ali's game, is how overconfident she can be at times. You cannot showboat. You cannot take someone like Jinx lightly.
And to a point, I believe Londyn Ali attacked the ear of Jinx. And there she is again. Now, if she breaks that eardrum, she's going to throw the equilibrium of Jinx completely.
Yeah, that's instant vertigo. And now she's using that cane. This is getting disgusting. You want to talk about the vicious side of Londyn Ali? That's what we're seeing right here.
5 minutes gone, 5 minutes.
Well, it's been stated many times, Jim, no hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. And these two young women are definitely scorned.
Ali sending Jinx to the concrete which may be designed more as an insult than anything.
Now you see that arrogance oozing through Londyn Ali now.
And don't get me wrong, make no mistake about it, Londyn Ali is one of the most talented young ladies in independent professional wrestling, but she cannot be overconfident like this. She's going to end up looking up at the lights, as Jinx is making her aware of right now. Oh man, they're coming up here.
You know, over the course of the last year or so, again, much like Tony Johnson, Londyn Ali has found a home in the main event.
Wait, they're coming up here. Jeez. Paul, I'm getting out of here.
I'm talking to myself here in a few minutes.
Paul, I'm leaving. Oh man, Ali trying to suplex Jinx on the floor.
This is concrete here at the Stronghold. This is not a padded floor.
Look out! Oh man, headbutt right between the eyes. Jinx is matching the violence of Ali strike for strike.
Wait, where's Jinx going, guys?
Don't know where she just disappeared to, but Londyn Ali is definitely out on her feet down here.
Look out, she's got a garbage can.
Apparently we're taking out the trash.
Oh man, the thud of the trash can across the shoulders of Ali.
And a little sarcastic Jack there.
An homage to Cactus Jack, who I'm sure would appreciate the style of Jinx.
Without a doubt. You know, Mick and I go way back to the days of Dominic DeNucci's. He would have definitely been proud of that one.
Guys, those are some dull thuds making contact with Londyn Ali right now.
In fact, let's send Mick this clip and invite him to check out more Ryse action. Mick Foley, how you doing?
I think we should.
As this thing thankfully spilling back to the ring, as Jinx continuing to assault Londyn Ali with that trash can. And Paul, I'm sorry, okay? I know that you were an athlete for 25 years. I'm a broadcaster here. I'm not built for these things.
I understand.
They get up here and I get nervous because these two are fighting tooth and nail. As you can see, Ali again trying to rearrange the facial features of Jinx.
Yeah, Jim, to your point, I mean, I took on some of the toughest guys in this business, but I don't think I'd fight either one of these young ladies.
Oh, jeez. Look out. And I don't know where Jinx landed, but it didn't sound good.
Somewhere in the second or third row, I believe.
And again, I'm going to say it, Sorg deserves a Medal of Honor for trying to get as close to this action.
I'll tell you what, I'll give him credit for trying to get this on camera.
That's why IndyWrestling.us has some of the best production on the independent scene.
They get right in there for sure.
Oh, look out off the wall!
Wow. Drove her head into that floor. Once again, I can't bring it up enough. That is a concrete floor. There is no padding out there.
Unbelievable. I've never seen that. Jinx using the wall, improvising, and driving Ali's face into the concrete.
This crowd now solidly behind Jinx.
This Lamont Furnace crowd has really adopted Jinx. She's such a unique commodity, has such a magnetism to her, but she knows that she's in a fight right here.
I'm not sure, but Londyn Ali's not moving much right now.
Well, after having her face spiked into the concrete, this matchup may be over very shortly. No, Ali gets the shoulder up, and as arrogant as Ali can be, she is one resilient athlete.
Oh, I'm definitely going to give her credit. She has taken a beating at the hands of Jinx, and she's still coming back for more.
The witty lioness earns that reputation. Make no mistake about it. But if you're Jinx, what do you do now?
Well, this match is more tailor-made than Jinx. Let's face it. Londyn Ali is more of the athlete, where Jinx is more of the street brawler. So at some point, this may become Jinx match on just pure ability.
The environment, absolutely. And you can see the toll this matchup, this very physical, violent contest has taken on both of these young ladies. And there's that wine in the face. And I believe Ali may have knocked her out with that shot to the jaw. And now plants her down to the canvas. That could be it here. No, Jinx kicks out.
Able to kick out.
As I said, Jinx brings as much heart and as much fight as anybody, and that's on display right there. She took a right hand right to the face before she was driven down to the canvas, but she kicked out.
And as arrogant as Londyn Ali is, I think at this point she's trying to figure out what she has to do to beat Jinx at this point.
And this is getting uncomfortable to watch here because Jinx is screaming in pain as Ali trying to rip the cartilage out of her ear.
And she's setting up something here with this chair.
Paul, this is getting very dangerous here. Look out. Man, you saw the head snap back upon impact.
That was pure power on the part of Londyn Ali.
Jinx is on Dream Street and at the mercy of Londyn Ali, which doesn't bode well for the bloody adorable one.
I told you. Stop messing with me. You're not helping. And now, she's gonna be dead. Just let her talk.
Ali continuing to talk trash.
At this point, threatening the life of Jinx.
Oh, look out! She got overconfident, overcocky, and she paid for it. Could be a turn of the tide. If Jinx is going to get out of this one with a victory, now is the time. And she is clutching that ear. Paul, to your point earlier, Jinx may have some vertigo issues going on right now.
I think she's having some balance issues here without a doubt.
Of course, if you can't stand, you can't fight, and that's gonna make it very difficult for Jinx.
Jinx just rallying her way back to a vertical base as she continues to pour on the offense here, trying to find it deep within her soul.
I think at this point she's operating on pure adrenaline.
There is a window for Jinx. Can she capitalize?
Oh, wait a minute. She's apparently wants to take part in a little libation here. Londyn left on the apron there. And the drinks are on Londyn Ali tonight.
Oh man, she hit her with that glass. And now you hear those pieces shatter on the outside.
And there goes that kendo stick.
And I believe she hit Londyn right in the side of the face that time with that kendo stick.
That's a little payback for earlier.
We've got broken glass at ringside, which is dangerous.
Jinx setting that chair up now in between the top and middle rope.
Gentlemen, I don't care what gender it is, male or female, this is one of the most violent matches we've seen here at Ryse. And man, Jinx went head first into that chair. Unprotected right into the chair. And again, Ali plunged Jinx down to the mat. Could this be all? No!
Oh.
Holy cow!
Give all the credit in the world to Jinx. She dug down to the 4th, 5th, and 6th layer to kick out of that maneuver.
We are seeing a violent spectacle at the hands of Ali and Jinx.
Going for that crucifix move. She's beat people before with it. She beat Derek Direction with it.
Oh, look out. Ali caught her. Ali caught her.
Well, she's setting her up here now.
Oh, man. Power bomb planted Jinx once again.
And Jinx
She
kicks
rolled the
out
shoulder
again.
just barely. You do not get any closer than that, Jinx.
Londyn Ali is beside herself at this point.
15 minutes gone, 15 minutes.
And Ali may be having a temper tantrum in there. She's hit Jinx with everything, quite literally. And again, plants her on the chair this time, and that may be enough.
And she got her, finally. Londyn Ali is able to pull off the victory.
15 minutes, 38 seconds. Your winner, the exalted one, Londyn Ali.
Gentlemen, it was a war. The bloody adorable one took more punishment than just about anybody we've ever seen, but it is the Witty Lioness, the first lady of the main event, Londyn, victorious in this no rules matchup.
And I can tell you right now, after this match, neither one of these young ladies will ever be the same again.
After a showcase like that, I can sincerely say that these two young ladies are the future of female or even male independent professional wrestling. You are seeing two athletes put it on the line here. What a matchup and what a fight.
Yeah, there's been a lot of debate lately about intergender wrestling, but I'll tell you what, I would stack these two young ladies up against anyone, male or female, any day of the week.
One way or another, the Witty Lioness victorious, but she knew she was in a fight.
Oh, I said lots of nice things about you.
I talked about the matchup. I said, yeah.
We put you over big time, honey.
They can't make anybody happy around here.
Coming to the ring by their manager, Benjamin C. Steele, and representing Golden Chic International. And a total combined weight of 372 pounds. First, we have, making his winter residence in Aurora, Florida, RPW, Robert Parker Williams. And his partner, hailing from a yacht you definitely cannot afford, he is Calvin Couture.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second half of Ryse Pro Wrestling, February 2nd, 2019. My name is Jim Lamotta, being joined by Paul Atlas and Red Watson. Gentlemen, we continue opening round action in the Ryse Tag Team Tournament to crown the first ever Ryse Tag Team Champions. And we have the very eccentric fashionista combination of Calvin Couture, Robert Parker Williams, guided by BC Steele, Golden Chic International. Individually, we have from Cambridge, Massachusetts, Lawless, and his partner from Fort Indiantown Gap, Pennsylvania, the Keystone Soldier, Braddock. As this first round of Ryse Tag Team action continues, let's remember this event being brought to you by IndyWrestling.us in association with the Indie Wrestling Network and Smart Park Video. A very unique pairing in Lewis and Drake Braddock, collectively now known as Military Intelligence.
And you talk about two guys, two very diverse individuals. This is the most unlikely tag team you'll ever see. You got Lewis the Brain. You've got Drake Braddock, the military man, Military Intelligence, going up against Golden Chic International.
Now, Red, I'm going to go to you here because you have, from what I understand, you had a chance to talk to Lewis before tonight's event. What is the strategy of Military Intelligence, this being their first time as an official tag team?
I think the strategy of Military Intelligence to go into this with absolutely no fear and put it all on the line It's been said multiple times that Lewis and Drake Braddock are the heart and soul of Ryse Wrestling, and I look for them to try to show that here tonight.
Now, Paul, you were a man that had an extensive tag team career. You and Brian Anthony, as part of the Wrong Crowd, ran the Roost in Pittsburgh Tag Team Wrestling for a few decades. You were NWA North American Tag Team Champions. It's no secret you guys are family, you guys are related, you guys are brothers. You had as much tag team continuity as can possibly be with a tag team partner. On the flip side of that coin, how does Drake Braddock and he and Lewis, how do they work as a unit when they've never had an official match together?
Well, a lot of it has to come down to the training, and we've seen the training of Drake Braddock. He's a military man. So, but to the point, you've also got to have experience in the ring together teaming. And that could be where Golden Chic International has the upper hand in this, as they have teamed before. So what this is basically going to come down to is the strategy in the boardroom, in the classroom, in the ring, working together, sparring, if you will that be enough to get the upper hand on Golden Chic International to move on in this tournament?
Nice transition from Calvin Couture as he slips around and lands with wrist control, maintaining the armbar here. And Paul, I would be remiss to say, we talked about how System Elite in this tournament has really been the standard of Tri-State Wrestling. The main event may be the odds-on favorites by proxy because they're undefeated, so the numbers favor the main event. But Robert Parker Williams may be one that has flown under the radar here in a sense, because Robert Parker Williams, much like yourself, is a tag team specialist. He's won multiple tag championships with multiple partners over the years. That is very true, and he was also trained in part by the late, great Devil Budokan, so he knows what he's doing in that ring at all times. He knows. Don't let this boisterous attitudes for you, this little prancing around that Golden Chic International does. Robert Parker Williams knows how to be vicious in that ring, and he knows how to take an opponent apart. And aside from being a tag team specialist, as I said, with multiple championships, with multiple partners, he also has a wild card in ringside. BC Steele, who hate him or hate him, has also guided dozens of athletes to championships. Hate him and hate him. Which side are you on that? I'm gonna give you one guess. Okay. And there we're seeing some of the technical prowess of the bullet catcher as he maintains wrist control here. Now, like we said, Drake Braddock being a military man, he's very well versed in hand-to-hand combat. And look at that, as Robert Parker Williams rolled through, as resourceful as RPW is, Braddock stayed one step ahead and rolled through with them. But you're seeing the technical side, as you said, a student of the late great Devil Budokan. Robert Parker Williams is very technically versed, which is why he has so many tag championships on his resume. Nice agility from the bullet catcher. We're seeing a great exhibition of the catch-as-catch-can style here being put on by both these individuals right now. Nice nip up from RPW. And again, going back to wrist control. Shoots Braddock in here. RPW puts on the brakes. Nice Japanese arm drag out of the corner. And again, a deep arm drag. And one thing that we have to point out here, Paul, as much as I hate to say it, we saw Golden Chic International steal a victory at our second anniversary show, and it was RPW himself that counted down the shoulders of the legendary Chris Hamrick. So when it comes to momentum, Golden Chic, and in particular Robert Parker Williams, have it on their side here. You come up with a victory over Chris Hamrick, that speaks volumes. Oh, without a doubt. A big shoulder tackle. Big time win like that, you roll into your next match with a lot of confidence. And there's no doubt about it. Neither one of these two guys lack in confidence. Japanese arm drag from Drake. A lucha pass here. Beautiful tilt-a-whirl satellite head scissors. And like that, the veteran that he is, RPW creates a timeout for himself, seeking the solace of the outside. Now Lewis is setting up here. Could the nerd be ready to fly? We know the bullet catcher will take a chance. Look out! What distance from Drake Braddock. And Lewis provided just enough of a distraction for Drake Braddock to hit that dive perfectly.
5 minutes gone, 5 minutes.
You know, let's be honest here. Drake Braddock is a little eccentric. He's all motion all the time. Lewis is a very unique athlete in his own right. That unorthodox nature of military intelligence may throw Golden Chic off of their game a little bit here.
You know, and we talked about the fact that they're not really an established tag team, but something as simple as that could indeed give them the upper hand. And let's face it, there's no tape on these two guys. You can't pop it in and scout them, because up until today, we've never seen them team together.
But we know that RPW and Golden Chic as a whole will bend and outright break the rules. And that's what we're seeing here is RPW using the ring as a weapon. Again, another sign of a true veteran.
And those chops can stop a heart.
Tag team offense here. The tandem of Golden Chic putting Drake Braddock down, finds 2.5. We know the toughness of Drake Braddock has been underscored several times. And Calvin Couture, with that perfectly placed hair, is getting a little upset at referee George, who's actually trying to enforce the rules of a fair contest. Who would have thought that? And now Drake Braddock in the wrong part of town. You do not want to be in the opposing corner, of tag team specialist like Golden Chic, innovative blockbuster from Calvin Couture.
Now Lewis really not doing any favors here. I know he wants to get in that ring and help his partner, but
shoulders down. Drake gets that left shoulder up.
And notice there's no wasted motion in Calvin Couture's attack here on Drake Braddock. Nice leg whip there.
And you can see how Couture immediately neutralizes any possibility of Drake Braddock making a tag, positioning himself between Drake Braddock and Lewis.
Exactly. That is Tag Team Wrestling 101. Cut that ring in half. Separate your opponents, get the victory.
Man, you hear that? You get boxed in that corner, and you're going to pay the price. RPW snapmares him out. Beautiful Kurt Hennig neck snap to follow through. Hooks the leg. Braddock kicks out again, but it may be a matter of time. Paul, let me ask you this. I'm not trying to put you on the spot here, and I don't want you to give away any of your tricks of the trade, so to speak, because I know that you have had such an accomplished tag team career. If there is one aspect of tag team wrestling that is the key to success, what does it come down to? What is the most important aspect of tag team wrestling that we need to see employed in this tournament to crown new tag team champions?
What you need to do is you need to do just what Golden Chic is doing right now. You need to divide and conquer. Separate one man from the other, wear that man down, and then eventually get that victory.
And when it comes to grinding down an opponent, wearing someone out, RPW, because he is so skilled and so experienced in the tag team division, that's really one of his specialties here, which is why you're seeing Drake Braddock boxed in the corner. That's no accident.
No, you utilize every bit of your half of the ring when you're in tag team wrestling.
Calvin Couture with a drop kick planted 2 feet right in the sternum that time.
And if you notice, Golden Chic International is doing just that. They're using their corners, they're using their ropes, they're using the referee, everything they can to keep Lewis at bay on his side of the ring while they work over Drake Braddock.
And once again, Calvin Couture did not step out of the ring until RPW was able to get in there. And now RPW just unloading on Drake Braddock. That is the vicious, aggressive side of Robert Parker Williams.
Yeah, this is a unique position for Lewis, too. I've often called Lewis the Ricky Morton of Ryse Wrestling. Lewis is used to taking the beating. Right?
And there's the wild card.
Right now, he is standing there watching Drake Braddock taking all his punishment. It's going to be interesting to see if Drake Braddock can hold off this attack and get to Lewis, just how Lewis is going to react once he gets in that ring.
10 minutes gone, 10 minutes.
And there's RPW trying to go 2 knuckles deep into the eye sockets of Drake Braddock. This guy's nasty. He'll claw at your face. Make no mistake about it. But RPW said, yeah, absolutely. It took it right from me, Paul. You got it correct. You were right. RPW, he's all sorts of dizzy, and it's a very pivotal moment for military intelligence.
It is to Drake Braddock's advantage. He landed with himself closest to Lewis, so now hopefully he can get over there before RPW can get the Calvin Couture and get that tag. But now you notice RPW grabbing that leg rather than working for a tag itself.
He was aware of ring positioning. Simultaneous tags here.
Here we go.
And Lewis could be rolling. This is a trademark of Lewis. He's made a career out of fueling himself on momentum. He was aching to get in that squared circle, and that's what he's doing right here.
Double back elbow springboard off that second rope. Takes both men down.
Paul, I don't know about this.
Yeah,
Drake Braddock sustained a lot of punishment.
It could be too soon for him to get back into that ring.
Leg sweep combination took Couture down. Rolls through, sends RPW over.
Nice straight right hand from Lewis.
And a kick right to the temple. RPW is on Dream Street. Heel kick. Down goes RPW. Couture is still staggered. Military intelligence could have the upset of the tournament here. Now wait a minute, BC Steel getting involved here. I believe Couture went low. Miscue from military intelligence. Oh, no way.
And I have to say, in this situation, I believe Golden Chic International just stole.
11 minutes, 56 seconds. Your winners, advancing to the tournament semifinal round, Golden Chic International.
With an assist from BC Steel, Golden Chic International advances here. And by the bracketing, Golden Chic will advance to face System Elite. And we know there's a lot of history here. The intrigue continues as we will.
The last time they met, Golden Chic International and specifically BC Steel ended up in some fine women's fashion.
It will be a very personal rematch as Golden Chic will meet System Elite in the second round for this Ryse Tag Team Championship Tournament. We said Golden Chic may be the dark horse pick. They may be under the radar, but one way or another, the Faction Finistas may be the very first Ryse Tag Team Champions.
Hats off, though, to the team of military intelligence. For two young men who have never teamed before, they did give Golden Chic a run for their money. We did it! Woo! God, he's annoying.
Put your hands together for Dr. Daniel C. Introducing at a total combined weight of 465 pounds, they're the team of #Privilege. Individually, first from Yale University, the new beginning, Dr. Daniel C. Rockingham. And his partner, from Truth or Consequences, New Mexico, here's the Gavel, David Lawless Esquire.
Gentlemen, I hate to sound too impartial, but this tag team of #Privilege, I'm also going to give the name to the most insufferable tag team that we've ever seen in here in Ryse. Because Lawless is a jerk and Dr. Dan's a charlatan.
Myself and David Lawless have not called ourselves privileged to demean anyone. Because everyone is privileged in our radiance. You see, the smartest man in professional wrestling and myself, the most motivational man in professional wrestling, are here to privilege you all with a new beginning. So David will not call you morons, but instead we will call you believers in change.
Look at this.
So main event,
This man may be a believer.
your undefeated streak is at an end. So come on out here, and we will show you exactly right. The keys to success is something that will be pounded into your heads here tonight.
Now, there's two things in life I hate, and that's a snake oil salesman, and when you've been divorced as many times as I have, an attorney.
They are the best tag team in independent professional Pittsburgh wrestling today. They are the odds-on favorite, and they are quite possibly the next Ryse Tag Team Champions. They are the main event.
And their tag team opponents, and they total combined 525 pounds.
You got it, big man.
The main event, individually, from the Florida Keys, Pro Wrestling All-Star, Ganon Jones Jr. And his partner, from Norfolk, Virginia, the meta-human, Duke Davis.
They are the perfect combination of size, speed, agility, and power. There are no flaws in the game of the main event. If you built top-tier athletes from the ground up, you have Duke Davis and Ganon Jones Jr. And I'll say it again, they are the best tag team in Pittsburgh professional wrestling today. But the question here is, will they put themselves in the history books as the first Ryse Tag Champions?
No, they are definitely the odds-on favorite tonight to go on and win the Ryse Tag Team Championships. Let's face it, undefeated for over 2 years in Ryse Wrestling.
Jim Amata, Paul Atlas, Red Watson here to call it for you. And gentlemen, as we've said, the main event, by the numbers, they have to be favored because they've never been defeated here in the Stronghold. However, that puts the biggest target on the main event as well, because if one of these teams can eliminate the main event, they completely change the complexion of not only the tournament, but the entire Ryse promotion. Now, Red, I believe you had a chance to talk to Rockingham and Lawless, which my condolences for that. What was the strategy? What was the mindset, of hashtag privilege coming into this matchup against such vaunted challengers?
The mindset of privilege is obviously to take out the main event. As you said, main event undefeated for 2 years. Privilege, of course, the team of Lawless and Rockingham. These two extremely cunning, and they told me they have something up their sleeve for every trick that the main event could possibly throw at them.
And Rockingham may not be wearing sleeves, but we've seen him produce several of those pamphlets using his self-help system to inflict paper cuts on his opponents, which is downright nasty. And I don't think a test of strength is the direction that Rockingham wants to go against Duke Davis.
Let's put it, the meta-human Duke Davis. All-star athlete, football player in college, alumni of Robert Morris University. And Jim, you know I have deep ties to RMU. This man is one powerful athlete.
If I'm remembering correctly, there are generations of Atlases that have ties to RMU.
I'm gonna come over here so I'm not blocking the camera.
Listen, we've said it a number of times. Lawless is as pleasant as chicken pox, but he can get it done inside those ring ropes. Will he get it done in a tag team situation against the main event? Is a completely different equation. In fact, Paul, you know, we've talked about the fact that you've held national tag champions when you and Brian Anthony were NWA North American tag champions. What do you do with a tag team like the main event? If you're hashtag privilege, how do you approach this matchup when you're in a tournament format and the heavy favorites coming into a matchup are undefeated? How do you approach that when you have an undefeated tag team? What's the strategy?
You know, first of all, you've got to have, and these two guys definitely don't lack in the confidence department. But, you know, as member of the Wrong Crowd, as NWA North American Tag Team Champions, as NWA Individual Regional Tag Team Champions, we were undefeated for 18 months. Now, the main event has been undefeated for longer than that here in Ryse Wrestling. And each and every night you've got to bring your A game, because whoever's facing you is going to bring their A game, because if you can chop down the men at the top of that mountain and get to that mountaintop yourself, you now become the favorite son.
Absolutely, and if hashtag privilege are able to defeat the main event here, you know it's going to send shockwaves throughout the Pittsburgh wrestling world.
Oh, without a doubt.
And man, Rockingham took a big right hand in the face. Lawless trying to take advantage of that momentary pause. But what an athlete Duke Davis is.
And you know, David Lawless is not a small man by any means, and Duke Davis just scooped him up like nothing. And there he is, look at that toss. He just made that look easy. This man is incredibly powerful. You know, I might be the old Muppet in the balcony, but I do know how to use social media. You go out on Duke Davis's Instagram and you will see this guy working out daily. This man is a machine.
Tag here from the main event. And we know tandem offense is really their trademark. So smooth is the dynamic offense of the main event.
And getting a little workout in between beating some people up. Gotta love that. Always staying in shape, the main event.
Lawless forced to extricate himself there. But the resourcefulness of David Lawless cannot be understated. I mean, Paul, we saw it just 2 weeks ago at Uprise, which of course you can watch exclusively through the Indie Wrestling Network. It was Lawless that had a barn burner contest against Zach Vincent. So we know that Lawless can go bell to bell. And this is what I'm talking about with that pamphlet, but
Duke Davis got, Ganon Jones got those gloves on, so I don't think it worked out too well.
What an exploder suplex. Again, the athletic ability and power. That combination is nearly bulletproof inside the squared circle.
Oh, it is. And, you know, I talked about the strength and power of Duke Davis, but Ganon Jones is no slouch himself in that department. Here we go with the handoff suplex.
And they're just making Rockingham dizzy at this point. Look at how much ease, how calm and calculated Duke Davis is inside the squared circle.
Not much flusters this man.
That could be another aspect of this tournament, Paul. The emotional side of professional wrestling. How do you keep your cool when you know there are literally historic stakes on the line?
You have to.
Oh, look out!
Whoa, the big man flies.
As I said, the perfect combination of speed, power, and agility. A man 6'6", 6'7", just gliding through the air.
Oh.
And wait a minute, did Lawless have that oak gavel?
Without a doubt. You know, as much as I hate to admit it, you know, we talk about the power of the main event, but these two, that being the gavel and Rockingham privilege, whatever they want to call themselves, these guys are mentally sound, even though they may not have the physical prowess of the main event. You know, and the main event aren't dummies, don't get me wrong, but I think these two guys, they may have the upper hand in the devious department.
Red, are you surprised at this turnabout here that Lawless, by hook or by crook, has been able to bend the rules in his favor? And we have the main event. They're in some jeopardy here. I don't think any of us could have expected that coming into this tournament.
Well, it was like the team of #Privilege told me. They said they had a plan, and so far it seems like they're executing it flawlessly.
Well, like I said, these guys are no dummies. I'm sure they have something together. Believe it or not, and I hate to say this, if there's a team in this tournament that could possibly derail the main event, it could be #Privilege.
You know, just when I thought I couldn't dislike the personality of beautiful flying back elbow, and that's what I'm talking about. As much as Lawless is completely insufferable, he's an insufferable jerk, he gets it done inside the ring ropes. And as I was saying, as much as I dislike the guy's personality, when I thought I couldn't dislike him anymore, he hooks up with Rockingham, and I find a way to dislike him even more.
And I'm sure he's billing somebody for this time.
Ganon trying to use his power, use those long arms, and that's what I'm saying, the resourcefulness of Privilege here. It took Dr. Dan grabbing onto the hair to prevent a tag, but at the end of the day, Ganon Jones is now in the wrong part of the corner, so hey, it wasn't fair, it wasn't within the rules, but it worked.
And you know, you talked about the emotional aspect. I think this is where Lawless and Rockingham may have the advantage over everyone else in this tournament. We talk about System Elite being the longest tenured tag team, but there's a lot of emotion when it comes to the main event and System Elite. You know, there's not a lot of emotion here with Lawless and Rockingham, and that could, again, give them the upper hand to be the ones to maybe end the undefeated streak of the main event.
To your point, you're seeing the emotions spill over here. Duke Davis obviously very upset that his close friend and tag partner Ganon Jones is getting mugged by Privilege here.
And then you got the riverboat gambler David Lawless, calm, cool, and collected. I've never actually seen the man in a courtroom, but I'm sure he made some jury skin crawl.
And you can see Rockingham trying to wrench, twist. You know, Rockingham wouldn't feel bad or hesitate at all if he could dislocate that shoulder.
Oh, he talks about wanting to change people's lives. I think what he wants to do is end somebody's life.
And Rockingham going back to that pamphlet, trying to cut between the webbing of the fingers. That is disgusting. I don't know if Josh Mayne
is losing his mind out there.
Josh Mayne, I don't know if he's going to be able to restrain Duke Davis.
I would not want to face an angry metahuman, that's for sure.
Rockingham turned his back. But again, you're seeing, look at the positioning. The tactful nature of Privilege here. The positioning where they can isolate Ganon Jones. That's no accident. That is
what we're seeing here is calm, cool, and collective reasoning and thought from Privilege right now.
Everything that this combination of Lawless and Rockingham is done with malice and intent. They know exactly what they're doing. There are no coincidences. And what a vertical leap.
None of this is done by accident.
10 minutes gone, 10 minutes.
You know, I can't stand Lawless so much, the guy gives me hives. But again, when you have a vertical leap like that you can put on a man that tall, the athletic ability is undeniable. And again, elementary tag wrestling, keeping your opponent in the corner. And Rockingham just hurling his body at Ganon Jones.
You know, we've talked all night about teams that have not teamed together on a regular basis, and that is the team of Privilege. They are not a regular tag team, but these guys...
They must have been training together.
Sure, like I said, but they're working like a well-oiled machine right now.
You know, this was one of the most anticipated matchups on the card here tonight because it could really determine the direction of the entire tournament, which of course we're going to see the second round the next time we're in this building on March 2nd.
Well, I'm calling it.
Look out! Ganon takes out everybody. Paul, continue. I'm sorry.
I'm calling it right now. I will tell you right now, in my mind, the winner of this match, without a doubt, is going to be in the finals of this tournament. Ganon's trying to get himself together and get over to Duke Davis. And if he makes this tag, the roof is coming off this place.
Clearly, this Lamont Furnace crowd at the Stronghold behind the main event.
He got it.
In comes Duke Davis. The complexion of this contest is changing before our eyes, gentlemen. Lawless ducks the clothesline, but he gets caught. Look at the effortless power.
Big fall-away slam by Duke Davis.
Transitions to a cover here. Lawless able to kick out. And gentlemen, as hard-fought as this matchup is becoming, the winners of this contest will advance to face the Grindhouse on March 2nd. That certainly is not something to look forward to. Oh, man!
Beautifully executed.
Unbelievable. What impact. Lawless got his body hurled and he was planted to the canvas.
And that's Charlatan breaking it up at the last second. And he may be thinking twice about it. Oh, low bridge there.
Again, the tactful nature of Dr. Dan. But he got caught, snatched by the throat. Dr. Dan plants two boots right in the mush of Duke Davis. Ganon's got Dr. Dan. Look out here.
One outside in.
Final cut plants Dr. Dan.
Let's go!
Pivotal point in this contest.
And there comes Lawless trying to set him up for that pump handle slam.
Into the backbreaker, the lumbar region down across the knees. The metahuman power personified, and Dr. Dan saves it. Red, correct me if I'm wrong. That matchup would have been over.
For my money, it should have been over right there. But Daniel C. Rockingham saving the matchup for privilege.
And this is what I've said before. This could actually be the team that derails the main event tonight. The main event has thrown everything they have at these two guys, and they still are in this battle.
Now, you talked about emotion in this.
Oh, look out! Lawless intercepts Ganon. Dr. Dan boxes the ears. Wait a minute, Lawless, he hits the crossroads. Paul, you could be right. The main event could be out of here.
And Duke Davis, I don't know where he dug down, but he got out of that, and that is incredible.
Gentlemen, you want to talk about Daniel C. Rockingham and David Lawless. Let's be honest here. We have rarely ever seen the main event in this much jeopardy.
No, even if they don't walk away with this victory, they will. The main event knows they were in a battle tonight.
If you take the main event to the limit in a tag team situation, win, lose, or draw, you have proven yourself inside the squared circle. Duke takes down Rockingham, elevates Lawless, and the gavel gets spiked, and that'll do it.
In the time of 13 minutes, 55 seconds, your winners, advancing to the semifinal round of the tournament, the main event.
Gentlemen, March 2nd, we will see the main event and the Grindhouse. But tonight, we saw a hell of an effort from #Privilege.
We saw the main event taken to the limit tonight.
I'm going to say it right now. The best tag team in Pittsburgh could be the very first Ryse Tag Team Champion.
Like I stated earlier, it is my honest opinion that the winner of this match will make it to the finals. And I'm calling it right now, that's the main event.
The main event, quite simply, tag team perfection. Undefeated nearly 25 months in the making.
Correspondent Red Watson. This is our featured presentation brought to you by IndyWrestling.us in association with the Indie Wrestling Network and Smart Mark Video. Derek Direction has manipulated and exploited his way into this championship matchup. And I don't care if I'm supposed to be impartial, it would make me sick if Direction walks out of here with the Ryse Grand Championship.
Derek Direction has had a problem with the Ryse Grand Championship, not necessarily the champion, but this goes all the way back to Lee Moriarty's time as the champ. And I don't know what his deal is, but now siding with the Grindhouse, it seems like all they ever want to do is ruin things here at Ryse Wrestling.
He is the Black Dragon. He is the apex of combat. He was the first Ryse Grand Champion, and he is one of the most talented young athletes absolutely anywhere in independent professional wrestling today.
I've said it time and time again, Lee Moriarty is money in this business.
You will be watching this young man on national and international television one day. Lee Moriarty is a top tier in professional wrestling. the workhorse of Ryse, the hardest working man in Pittsburgh professional wrestling, the Reaper, the Ryse Grand Champion, and Matt Conard. Conard brings a 7-month reign as Ryse Grand Champion into the squared circle tonight. But with him, he brings the unresolved question of can he best Moriarty?
Well, we thought we were going to find out at our last event here a month ago, but that was ruined once again by Derek Direction. And again, he has interjected himself into the match tonight between Moriarty and Conard. And as long as Derek Direction's around, I don't know if we will ever know who truly is the best in Ryse, be it Conard, be it Moriarty.
You are correct, Paul. Conard brings the competition of Moriarty, but his hatred for Derek Direction as well.
Stronghold Arena, Lamont Furnace, Pennsylvania. This will be your Ryse Pro Wrestling feature presentation. One fall, 2-8 finish. A triple threat match for the Ryse Grand Championship. Introducing challenger number 1, accompanied to the ring by the Black Rose, Meghan Meyers. He hails from TV Land by way of Cleveland, Ohio. Weighing 250 pounds, he's the greatest director in all of professional wrestling, Derek Direction.
This guy is an absolute slime ball.
Introducing challenger number 2, from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, weighing 80 kilos. He is Tiger Style Lee Moriarty.
The hybrid athlete looking to reclaim his championship.
The defending Ryse Grand Champion from Derry, Maine, weighing 215 pounds. He is the Reaper, Matt Conard. One fall to a finish for the Ryse Grand Championship.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Jim Amata, being joined by Paul Atlas and Red Watson. This is our featured presentation coming to you courtesy of the Indie Wrestling Network through IndyWrestling.us and Smart Mark Video. It is for the Ryse Grand Championship. Matt Conard, the champion, defends against the apex of combat, Lee Moriarty, and the Neon Tarantino, Derek Direction. Derek Direction has used his hatred for Ryse and the Ryse Grand Championship to exploit and manipulate his way into this matchup. However, can Moriarty and Conard put their differences aside to eliminate Direction, or will Direction ultimately exploit his way to the Ryse Grand Championship?
Right now they seem to be arguing over who's going to beat him up.
And quite frankly, Derek Direction does, oh my God, a headbutt right to the jaw.
That could have broken Lee Moriarty's jaw right there.
He may be knocked out. Moriarty is on the floor and he is seeing stars. Direction takes a kick to the mouth. And gentlemen, let's not forget that it was a classic matchup. One of the best matches I've ever had the privilege to call in my 10 years of being an announcer in professional wrestling was Matt Conard and Lee Moriarty, January 5th of 2019. A 40-minute matchup that pushed the limits of what professional wrestling can and should be. It was Derek Direction ruining it all, interjecting himself and getting the match thrown out. Both Conard and Moriarty wanted to tear Direction to bits, and they were willing to put Derek Direction in this matchup to get their hands on him.
Well, this is the thing about Derek Direction. He's interjected himself into so many situations with Lee Moriarty, so many situations with Matt.
Wait a minute, pinfall here.
Conard escapes. Continue, Paul. I'm sorry.
That again, like you said, Jim, they're willing to put aside whatever battles they had one-on-one just to get Derek Direction into the ring in hopes of once and for all putting an end to his shenanigans. And, you know, you may not know this, Jim, but I've been around my fair share of movie sets in my time, and I've never seen a director more sleazy than Derek Direction.
Well, as I said in the opening moments of this contest, I'm not making it any secret. I'm not being impartial here. Derek Direction is trying to use Ryse as his own personal stepping stone. He wants to destroy what we've all worked for. He wants to destroy what Lee Moriarty and Matt Conard poured their souls into last month. Derek Direction wants to use this for himself to elevate his own profile. So I hope that Direction gets his teeth knocked out, and it'll make me sick if he somehow walks out of here with the championship.
Now, without a doubt, he has had some sort of unhealthy obsession with that grand championship since day one.
Oh, man! Direction driving Moriarty into the knees.
And, you know, there was nowhere, no cushion, no snapback for Lee Moriarty. Just a straight shot to the jaw with those knees.
That wrapped the jaw and the neck.
Lee has had his share of neck problems over the last year or so, and I'm sure that didn't help matters.
And let's not forget the hatred between Moriarty and Derek Direction. Their rivalry spilled over state lines. I mean, we know that Moriarty and Direction wrestle all up and down the East Coast and even branching out into the Midwest. There were other shows in other states. These guys happen to be in the same proximity, and fights broke out there.
It broke out in locker rooms, it broke out in bar rooms, it broke out in the street. There has been a pure hatred between
And that's what Direction calls the Chainsaw Massacre, as he rubs his forearm into the eyes across the bridge of the nose of the apex of combat. Swing and a miss from Direction. Bottom drops out. Conard going for the cover, but a double stomp from Moriarty. And Red, I'm going to go to you. You were backstage. You were doing a lot of investigative work before we went on the air here. What is the vibe around these three athletes as they head into this very tense main event?
I think the vibe surrounding these three extraordinary competitors could best be described as nothing short of absolutely off-the-charts intense. I have seen these three competitors over the last several months. They have taken it to new heights over this Ryse Grand Championship. And gentlemen, I expect to see it all come to a head tonight.
And not to interrupt.
There's a paradise lock from Moriarty.
Looks like a little 4-H club maneuvering there by Lee Moriarty. A little goat tying going on here.
And Moriarty, innovative as he always is, elevates himself off the body of Matt Conard to deliver a drop kick to the midsection of Derek Direction.
I mean, come on. How much more can you get than using one opponent to beat the other opponent?
Well, that may suit Moriarty very well because he is adapting rather seamlessly to this triple threat environment. Moriarty puts on the brakes, but launches himself at Derek Direction.
5 minutes, 5 minutes.
Now, we've touched on this in the past in his matches, Jim. Lee Moriarty has trained in Mexico. He's trained all over the United States. This man is...
Look out, look out!
Here comes Conard.
Conard takes out everybody, and if you want to know how high the stakes are here, Matt Conard is not a man that is known to fly, but he is willing to take this chance, both for his competitive rivalry with Lee Moriarty and his pure hatred for Derek Direction.
Yeah, we keep touching on the sheer hatred between these three men, but let's not forget what's at stake here. It's the Ryse Grand Championship. So at some point, you've got to kind of overlook.
Meteora from Matt Conard. You're correct, Paul. The championship's on the line, and with the championship comes the power. You are the champion. You dictate the direction of this promotion, and that's exactly what Derek Direction tries to do at every turn, as he just knocked Moriarty silly with a rolling elbow.
And right before that, a big boot to the face by Moriarty on the Matt Conard. Now all three men down.
You know, we've touched on it in the past, Paul. The Derek Direction has studied somewhat under Cassius Ohno, a.k.a. Chris Hero, and that's where he learned to throw those elbows. So that is why that elbow knocked Moriarty nearly out of his boots right there.
Well, all these men have been well-versed and well-trained by some of the greats in this business today. Like I said before, Lee Moriarty has trained in Mexico. Derek Direction.
That Taiga style, a very hybrid wrestler is Lee Moriarty.
Yes, it is. He's adapted very well to all of it.
We'll get Conard rack the jaw of Derek Direction. European uppercut from Moriarty. And you can hear the contact here, gentlemen.
Right now, we're breaking down into a good old-fashioned street fight.
Yeah, as much technique as these three possess, this is where things get nasty. Jumping knee strike may have caught Direction in the ear. Direction was staggered momentarily. Moriarty catches Conard. And a leverage maneuver gives Direction the advantage. Hooks the leg here. I gotta be honest, Paul, every time Direction goes for a cover, I'm worried. I'm gonna say it. I don't care if I'm supposed to be an impartial journalist. Derek Direction is a sleaze bag, and this will not benefit Ryse if he's the grand champion. I said it.
None of us want to see this guy walk out of here with his grand championship tonight. Let's face it.
I'll look out. Moriarty plants Conard. Sunset flip bomb, and Moriarty's head bouncing off those buckles. That was nasty.
That wasn't just whiplash. He could have very easily broken his neck with that maneuver.
Moriarty is clutching the back of his neck, and he hasn't moved. He could be very hurt right now. Moriarty may be out of this matchup because he is clutching his neck.
Well, the good thing is he's at least moving.
And again, I can't explain the sickness that I'm feeling in my stomach here with the thought of Derek Direction as Ryse Grand Champion.
Well, nothing good could definitely
He's a selfish bastard that ruined a Steel City Classic last month. And he did it because he wants everyone talking about Derek Direction. Double reverse DDT from Conard takes care of everybody.
Hooks the leg.
Two and a half.
Two near falls on both men by Matt Conard there.
Conard questioning referee Nick Davidson, but I can tell you that Nick Davidson, one of the best young referees in the sport today. That's why he's assigned this main event contest.
He would not be in there if he wasn't one of the best.
Because unlike Derek Direction, Ryse management tries to give the fans the absolute best matches possible, and that's exactly why a jam-packed crowd is here with us at the Stronghold in Lamont Furnace, Pennsylvania.
You know, I hate to say it, but maybe, just maybe, with Direction in this match, we'll get a final conclusion to this, because he doesn't want to ruin this one, I don't think.
Man, Moriarty cut Conard off, caught him with a right hook right to the jaw. And look at the running European uppercuts. Extra momentum for extra impact. No! Conard able to avoid the contact, catches Moriarty with a kick.
Nobody throws those uppercuts harder than Lee Moriarty.
Look out. Direction plants the knees into the apex of combat. Runs into a boot from Conard. The Reaper springboard and just hurling his body. All aggression is Matt Conard.
Yeah, he slipped a little coming off those ropes. I don't think he got all of that move.
You have to wonder how, with how emotional this matchup is, with how much hatred, with how much, I mean, let's be honest here. Moriarty and Conard despise Derek Direction.
And that's what I said earlier. Sometimes you've got to put that in check and remember just what is on the line here, and that is our Ryse Grand Championship. Use that hatred to do, if nothing else, keep Derek Direction from becoming the champion here tonight. Conard may have hurt his knee.
All three men back up to a vertical base, and you're right, Paul, an injury will shift this matchup completely. Derek Direction getting bounced around like a ping pong ball, and quite frankly, I'm happy to see it. And Meghan Meyers takes the bullet. Derek Direction calls himself a director. This may be a version of the Zapruder film because Meghan Meyers' head snaps back. Derek gets the boot up. Elevates Moriarty. Has Conard elevated.
Nobody home for Lee Moriarty.
And just drops the Reaper onto Moriarty. And that's why, as much as I cannot stand Derek, wait, cover here! Conard gets his shoulder up. As much as I cannot stand Derek Direction, you will never hear me sell him short on athletic ability. The problem is that he is such an insufferable human being that I cannot impartially call this, but he's named this maneuver the Keno Clutch.
Well, Derek Direction is one of the greatest athletes around. Just ask him, he'll tell you.
This Keno Clutch, which is a film term for the highest in film, and Direction believes this is a top-tier submission maneuver, but it doesn't matter at this point. He took a knee right to the back of the head.
Whether Lee Moriarty meant it or not, he may have just saved the match for Matt Conard.
As I said, I'll never sell, and it legitimately pains me to say this, I'll never sell Derek Direction short as an athlete, but that's secondary here. The guy wants to ruin this promotion.
He does, and let's face it, if you were not a stellar athlete, if you were not a top-tier athlete, you would not be in the feature presentation here at Ryse Wrestling. So as much as we don't like his tactics, you have to admit the man is a great athlete.
Moriarty takes the kick. Conard rolls through. Heel hook. He's got it.
Locked in.
Conard is looking to break the ankle of the Neon Tarantino.
And he's got Direction just far enough away from the ropes that he can't get there to break the hold. He's got it locked in tight. This could be the end for Derek Direction.
The rough cut of this film may have an abrupt ending here.
Direction fighting, clawing.
And now Moriarty latches onto the arm like a pit bull. They're going to snap the arm and the leg, breaking the bones of Derek Direction. Conard trying to avoid Moriarty's submission. He doesn't want to. Doesn't want Moriarty to get the victory here.
No, I mean, come on.
And that's to underscore your point. This is the Ryse Grand Championship. It took Conard years to obtain that championship, years of work inside the squared circle. He's not going to surrender that to anyone.
No, Matt Conard thought for years and years that he was overlooked by so many promotions in this tri-state area, and he finally has the opportunity.
Oh, man, Paul, that may have knocked Conard. He may be on Dream Street. You can again see the welts on the body of Conard.
Wow.
But a rolling clothesline takes Moriarty head over heels.
Completely turned Lee Moriarty inside out with that.
Hooks both legs. I don't know how Moriarty kicked out. I don't know how he was aware that a 2 count was coming down. That may be all instinct. And Red, after this hellacious matchup, what is it going to take to find a victory? Who is going to walk out of here a winner?
I think ultimately it's going to come down to the last man on his feet, the last man who can land whatever bit of offense he can muster. I think it's going to come down to whoever can deliver in the big moment.
Series of shots from Moriarty. Tiger Mask style kick. Moriarty avoided the kick, and now turnabout fair play. Moriarty looking to heel hook Conard's ankle.
He's got that locked in, and let's say whoever walks out of here tonight with this championship will definitely have earned it. But right now, Lee Moriarty has, like you said, he's turned the tables on Matt Conard. He's put his own heel lock on him. And now Matt Conard's fighting and clawing to try to get to those ropes.
And Conard, this is a situation he may not be used to. He's never been in this hole. And you can see Moriarty trying to lay down the strikes as he's wrenching on the submission.
Conard's made it to that rope, though.
And that's all tenacity. That is the characteristics of a champion. When you're in pain and you decide you're going to gut through it, that's what makes a champion. And that is why Matt Conard has had such a successful run as Ryse Grand Champion.
That's right. As I started to say before, Matt Conard feels he was so overlooked by so many promotions in the tri-state area. So now that he has that Ryse Grand Champion, he's got a massive chip on his shoulder to not only prove those other promotions wrong in the past, but to show everyone that he truly deserves to be the Grand Champion here at Ryse.
Lee Moriarty shoots Conard in. The Reaper reverses. Conard off with the body press.
Roll through.
And man, look at the strength of Matt Conard. Moriarty up and over, out the back door. Misdirection. Tilt-a-whirl. Wait, Conard caught him.
Is he trying to get him into a tombstone, it looks like, and he planted him.
And he just spiked Moriarty. But Direction's up. Direction doesn't see him. Rolling elbow right to the back of the head. And Direction may be able to worm his way.
Trying to get back in the ring, but what's going on here?
Wait, I can't see what's...
Conard seems to not be able to get into that ring.
Wait a minute, what's going on?
And
Wait, what happened?
It's Shirley Doe.
Doe grabbed Conard.
Shirley Doe was under the ring. How long has he been under that ring?
You gotta be kidding me. Doe was holding the legs.
29 seconds. Your winner of the brand new Ryse Grand Champion, the greatest director in professional wrestling, Direction.
We were wondering what happened. We were all confused. Shirley Doe, how the hell did he get under the ring? Doe prevented Conard from getting in the matchup. And I cannot believe it. Damn it. Direction is the Ryse Grand Champion.
And
Shirley Doe was under the ring. Are you kidding me? We're going to let this stand?
I can't believe. Once again, Grindhouse has found a way to screw over the main event here at Ryse Wrestling.
It was a damn plan all along. How long has Doe been under the ring? We couldn't see what was going on. It was Doe restraining Conard. Conard was inches away as the count came down. And where does this leave Ryse Wrestling?
This tonight is definitely, without a doubt, a game changer here at Ryse Wrestling. What is going to go on now that this complete moron, this complete jerk, is now, and I can't believe I'm saying it either, the Ryse Grand Champion.
This is the darkest day in Pittsburgh independent professional wrestling. Direction has exploited and manipulated this promotion. Direction is a cancer of the wrestling business. He wants to destroy Ryse, and he now has the championship to do it.
The plan has worked apparently to perfection.
Paul, I hate to leave things off this way. For Paul Atlas and Red Watson, my name is Jim Amata. We'll see you back here.
Sidekick Media Services. We are your sidekick in business for social media, video production, and more. Find out more at sidekickmediaservices.com.